A Yola resident, Suleiman Ibrahim, is asking authorities to help him retake custody of his missing 3-month-old son, allegedly sold by his girlfriend for 20,000 naira to a woman engaged in human trafficking. Suleiman Ibrahim's ordeal first began after his love affair with girlfriend Justina Yakubu produced a child. The report.
The court, they say, is the last hope of the common man. Here at this court premises, one man's journey to retake custody of his 3-month-old child has left him frustrated with the administration of justice. But his quest for justice has one silver lining. This 4-year-old boy, Vincent Obanus, here is finally reuniting with his father after 6 months of separation and disappearance. Surprisingly, Justina Yakubu, the mother of this 4-year-old, is also standing trial at this court premises for selling a 3-month-old son for 20,000 to one Esther Romanus, now a defendant in a case of trafficking in persons. Suleiman narrated to Trust TV how his estranged fiancé sold their 3-month-old son to Esther and how luck also ran out on them. She came and said she wants to have a talk with me. I said I won't speak with her alone since we are at the station. The police would hear what she has to say. She then said the child is still alive. She claimed to have told me the baby was dead just to torture me, and that the baby is with one Dr. Esther Romanus, an Igbo woman who gave her 20,000 in exchange for the child. It was out of that money she transported herself back home to Maraba. I then cried and lamented why I behaved this way, knowing my predicament. I said I would have loved to bore my son and care for him. After hearing her confession, I asked the divisional police officer to give me a policeman who would accompany me to Yola to retake my son. On the way, Esther and Justina kept in touch until we arrived at Esther's residence with the female policewoman. We waited for Esther to return from the market. Esther was arrested by the policeman who asked her about the missing baby and his whereabouts. Esther confessed to receiving a 2-month-old baby at the time from Justina, but said the baby has been taken to Taraba State. Suleiman, whose hopes of also uniting with his 3-month-old son was dashed by the court ruling, has called on authorities to intervene. The police also discovered a 4-year-old boy who Esther had allegedly trafficked. The boy I learned is Justina's son, who she bore for another man. It was during investigations that the disappearance of the 4-year-old also unraveled. During interrogations at the station, Esther asked to be given some minutes that my child would soon be brought to the station. Shortly after, I saw an infant with a young lady. I recognized the baby as my missing 3-month-old son. I and my mother were overwhelmed with emotions. While my mother broke down in tears, I moved to beat the girl who brought the baby. I don't have anybody to help me on this case except God, because the defendant has hired 2 lawyers already for her defense. But I have no one to assist me but God alone. I am therefore calling on the Adamawa State government to intervene. While the legal tussle continues, counsel to the defendant and the state chairperson Federation of Women Lawyers, Hafsat Abdullahi, share their perspective on the case.
The allegation brought against them is that they have conspired to sell a child or sell persons for prostitution or for immoral acts. And the persons we are seeing in court here, which are the subject of the charge, is just a 4-year-old boy and a 3-month-old baby, which we all know cannot be used for prostitution. Yes. So that
actually the charge that was brought against the 2 defendants is that they've conspired to sell the children, and for the purpose of being used on immoral grounds. That is what the charge is all about. If you're talking about prostitution, yes, we might say that a boy of 3 years cannot go on prostitution. But we've seen cases where minors are being abused. A boy of 2 years, a boy of 3 years, a girl of 2 years, a girl of 3 years being used either through the anus or through the private part. We have seen it even here in Yola. We've recorded a case of a girl that is just 4 years and she was used, she was raped. So the issue of raping or immoral acts doesn't has to do with the age. A baby can be abused at any age and at any time.